I never thought I'd be the kind of man who checked his wife's phone. That sounds like the opening line to every bad marriage counselor session ever recorded, doesn't it? But here I am, standing in my kitchen at 2 in the morning with my wife's phone in my hand, staring at a text message that reads, "Tonight was perfect. Can't wait to see you again." Let me back up. My name is Marcus Chen, and up until 3 weeks ago, I thought I had a pretty good handle on my life. I'm 42, work as an electrical engineer for a consulting firm, and married my wife Rebecca 5 years ago. She came into the marriage with a daughter, Emma, who was 9 at the time. Emma's biological father had been out of the picture since she was a toddler, some deadbeat who decided fatherhood wasn't his calling. And I'd done my best to fill that role. Not replace him, mind you. I learned early on that trying to be dad was a mistake. I was Marcus, the guy who made terrible pancakes on Sunday mornings, who helped with algebra homework, who showed up to every school play and soccer game. Rebecca and I met through a mutual friend at a barbecue. She was funny, sharp, with this way of tilting her head when she was really listening to you that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. She worked as a dental hygienist, had this pragmatic approach to life that balanced out my tendency to overthink everything. We dated for 2 years before I proposed, and those first few years of marriage felt solid, normal, the kind of normal you don't appreciate until it's gone. Emma's 14 now, dealing with all the drama that comes with freshman year of high school. She's gotten taller, more reserved, spending most of her time in her room with her headphones on. Standard teenager stuff, Rebecca always said. Nothing to worry about. But 3 weeks ago, something shifted. Kari too. It was a Thursday evening. I'd gotten home late from a job site in Riverside, tired and hungry, expecting to find dinner waiting, or at least my family home. Instead, the house was dark except for Emma's room upstairs. I found her sitting at the kitchen table doing homework, earbuds in, a half-eaten sandwich beside her laptop. "Where's your mum?" I asked, loosening my tie. Emma barely looked up. Out with Diane from work. Said she'd be back by 9. Diane? I knew Diane. Rebecca had worked with her for years at Dr. Patterson's dental office. They occasionally grabbed drinks after work, went to the occasional movie. Nothing unusual. Except Rebecca didn't get home at 9, or 10, or 11. I tried calling her cell twice. Both times it went to voicemail. By midnight, I was genuinely worried considering calling hospitals when I heard her car in the driveway. I met her at the door, ready to be relieved, maybe a little annoyed. She looked flustered, her hair slightly messed up, lipstick faded. "Where were you? I was worried sick." I told Emma. Diane and I went out. Lost track of time. She breezed past me, kicking off her heels. "Why are you still up?" "Because my wife was out until midnight on a Thursday and didn't answer her phone." She turned, and for just a second I saw something in her eyes. Guilt, annoyance. It was gone before I could process it. "My phone died. I'm sorry. I should have called from Diane's cell." That should have been the end of it, a minor annoyance easily explained, but something in her voice was off. Too defensive, too quick. Over the next 2 weeks, it happened 3 more times. Late nights, vague explanations about meeting Diane, about after-work events at the dental office, about running errands that somehow took 4 hours. Each time, her phone was conveniently dead or she was in a bad service area. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her, but I'd been married before. A disaster that ended when my ex-wife Christina had an affair with her personal trainer. And I recognized the patterns. The distant eye contact. The way she started dressing slightly nicer for work. The phone that was suddenly always face down on the counter. Then came last Saturday. Emma had a soccer game at 10 in the morning. Rebecca had promised to come, even though she usually worked Saturday mornings. But the night before, she'd gotten an emergency call from the office. An elderly patient having a dental crisis needed her to come in early Saturday, might take most of the day. "It's Mrs. Henderson," Rebecca explained, pulling on her jacket. "She's 83 and terrified of dentists. Dr. Patterson specifically asked for me." "Can't someone else handle it?" "Marcus." That tone, the one that said I was being unreasonable. It's my job. So I took Emma to her game alone. She didn't say much in the car, but I could tell she was disappointed. Rebecca had missed the last 2 games too. The game was at Riverside Park, about 20 minutes from our house in the opposite direction from the dental office. Emma played midfielder, and she was good, focused, aggressive, with this determination that reminded me of her mother. Her team was up too, 1 in the second half when Emma suddenly stopped running mid-play. She was staring at the parking lot. I followed her gaze and saw a silver Honda Accord pulling in. Nothing remarkable about it, except Emma had gone completely still, her face pale. "Em," I called from the sidelines. "You okay?" She didn't answer. The referee blew the whistle, asking her to get back in position. She shook her head, seemed to snap out of it, and resumed playing. But she was distracted after that, kept glancing toward the parking lot. When the game ended, they won 3-1. Emma scored the final goal. I expected her to be excited. Instead, she was quiet, withdrawn, hurrying to the car. "What happened out there?" I asked as we drove home. "You zoned out for a minute." "Nothing." Emma. She was quiet for a long moment, staring out the window. Then, softly, "I saw Mr. Davidson's car." "Who's Mr. Davidson?" "He works with Mom, at the dental office." I felt something cold settle in my stomach. And? And nothing, I recognized his car, that's all. But it wasn't all. I could hear it in her voice, see it in the way she wouldn't look at me. "Have you met him before, Mr. Davidson?" "A couple times, when Mom brought me to work last year during summer break." She paused. "He's nice, funny. Mom talks about him sometimes." "Mom talks about him sometimes." "What does she say?" Emma shrugged, uncomfortable. "Just work stuff. How he's good with patients, how they joke around." Another pause. "She says he's a really good friend." A really good friend. That night, Rebecca came home at 8, claiming Mrs. Henderson's procedure had taken longer than expected. She seemed tired, distant, headed straight for the shower. I wanted to ask her about Davidson, about why Emma had seen his car at a park 20 minutes from the dental office on a Saturday morning when Rebecca was supposedly at work. But I didn't, because part of me didn't want to know the answer. Instead, I started paying attention. I noticed that Rebecca had started going to the gym 3 mornings a week, something she'd never done in the 5 years we'd been married. I noticed new perfume in the bathroom. Subtle, but definitely new. I noticed that her smile seemed brighter when she checked her phone and dimmer when she looked at me. I tried talking to her, asked if everything was okay, if she was happy, if there was something going on. Each time she assured me everything was fine. I was being paranoid. Work was just stressful. She was fine, we were fine. But we weren't fine. And then came tonight. Rebecca had gone to bed early, claiming a headache. I'd stayed up watching a documentary, came downstairs for water around 1:30, and saw her phone on the kitchen counter, charging, face up. A text notification lit up the screen. "Tonight was perfect. Can't wait to see you again." The sender was listed as Diane M. My hands were shaking as I picked up the phone. I knew her passcode, her birthday, same as it had always been. She'd never hidden it from me before. Never had a reason to. The messages opened easily. Except they weren't from Diane. The contact was saved as Diane M., but the conversation above told a different story. References to sneaking away, about the way you looked tonight, about when can we do this again? And further up, a photo. Rebecca smiling at the camera with wineglass in hand, sitting across from a man I didn't recognize. Good-looking guy, maybe late 30s, dark hair, easy smile. My wife who was supposedly out with Diane 3 nights a week. My wife who worked late Saturdays for emergency dental procedures. My wife who'd been coming home with faded lipstick and messed up hair. I scrolled further back, weeks of messages increasingly intimate. Thinking about you. Tonight meant everything to me. I hate lying to him, but I can't stop this. I hate lying to him. I stood in my kitchen staring at proof of my wife's affair and felt something break inside me. Not dramatically, not with some explosive realization, it was quieter than that. Like a rope that's been fraying slowly, finally snapping, the sound of it barely audible. How long had this been going on? Who was this guy? Was it Davidson, the really good friend Emma had mentioned? I heard footsteps on the stairs, Rebecca probably wondering where I was. I set the phone down exactly where I'd found it and stepped away from the counter, moved to the sink, filled my glass with water, my back to the doorway. Marcus? Her voice was soft, sleepy. What are you doing up? Couldn't sleep, I said, not turning around. Wanted some water. Come to bed. I turned, looked at her standing there in her pajamas, hair messy from sleep, looking like the woman I'd married, the woman I'd trusted, the woman I'd built a life with. Yeah, I said. I'll be up in a minute. She nodded, padded back upstairs. I stood in the kitchen for another 20 minutes, drinking water I didn't want, trying to figure out what to do next. Confront her? Get proof first? Talk to Emma, see what else she knew? No, not Emma. She was 14. Whatever was happening, I wasn't dragging her into the middle of it. By the time I went back upstairs, Rebecca was asleep, or pretending to be. I lay beside her in the dark, staring at the ceiling, wondering how I'd gotten here, wondering how I'd missed the signs, wondering if I'd missed them, or if I'd just chosen not to see them. I must have dozed off eventually, because I woke to sunlight streaming through the window and Rebecca's side of the bed empty. Downstairs, I could hear the coffee maker, the sound of the morning news on the TV. Normal, everything pretending to be normal. I got up, showered, dressed for church. We went most Sundays, more for Emma's sake than ours, and headed downstairs. Rebecca was at the stove making eggs, still in her robe. Emma was at the table scrolling through her phone, headphones on, the picture of domestic tranquility. Morning, Rebecca said brightly, too brightly. I was thinking we could skip church today. Maybe go for brunch instead. That place Emma likes in Pasadena? I have plans, Emma said, not looking up. What plans? Study group for bio. I told you Thursday. Rebecca frowned. I don't remember that. I texted you Thursday night. You said it was fine. Oh, right. Sorry, sweetie, I forgot. Emma finally looked up, and there was something in her expression that made me pause. Disappointment, yes, but something else, too. Suspicion? She glanced at me, then back at her mother, then returned to her phone. She knew, or at least she suspected. What about you, Marcus? Rebecca asked. Brunch. Sure, I heard myself say. Brunch sounds good? What I wanted to say was, who is he? How long has this been going on? Why? What did I do wrong, or what didn't I do right? But I didn't say any of that. Because I wasn't ready. Because I needed to think. Because confronting her now with Emma in the room felt wrong. So I ate eggs I couldn't taste and made small talk about the weather and pretended like my marriage wasn't falling apart. Emma left around 10 for her study group. Rebecca went upstairs to get ready for brunch. I stayed at the kitchen table, coffee growing cold in my hands, trying to figure out my next move. My phone buzzed. A text from my buddy Jason. You come into poker Tuesday. Jason worked in IT. Did corporate security consulting on the side. Jason, who'd once mentioned he could pull phone records, track GPS data, find digital breadcrumbs if you really needed to know where someone had been. I stared at his message for a long moment. Then I deleted it without responding. Because using Jason felt like crossing a line, felt like admitting I didn't trust my wife, felt like giving up on my marriage before I'd even confronted her. But what was the alternative? Confronting her now, letting her deny everything, watching her delete all the evidence. Ready to go? Rebecca called from upstairs. Yeah, I called back, just grabbing my wallet. We went to brunch. A nice place in Pasadena, outdoor seating, good mimosas. Rebecca ordered the Eggs Benedict. I got a burger I didn't want. We made conversation about Emma's grades, about my upcoming project in San Diego, about her coworker Carol's wedding next month. Not a word about Davidson. Not a word about late nights and dead phone batteries. Not a word about the truth sitting between us like a third person at the table. You seem distracted, Rebecca said halfway through her meal. Just work stuff. The San Diego project? Yeah. She reached across the table, squeezed my hand. You work too hard. Maybe we should take a weekend. Just the two of us. Get away for a bit. Get away? With the woman who was cheating on me. The woman who'd been lying to my face for weeks, maybe months. Maybe, I said. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it and her face lit up for just a second before she caught herself. Sorry, work email. Work email, right. She typed out a quick response, smiling slightly, then set the phone face down on the table. Everything okay? I asked. Yeah, just Dr. Patterson asking about scheduling for next week. She squeezed my hand again. I'm glad we're doing this, just us. We should do it more often. I looked at her, really looked at her, and tried to see when she'd started becoming someone I didn't recognize. Was it gradual? Had there been a moment, a specific day when she'd decided our marriage wasn't enough? When she'd decided I wasn't enough? Rebecca, I started. I almost said it, almost asked her directly, who is he? But something stopped me. Maybe cowardice, maybe strategy, maybe the part of me that still hoped I was wrong. Nothing, I said. Just, I love you. Her expression softened. I love you too. And maybe she did. Maybe you could love someone and still betray them. Maybe that's what made it worse. We finished brunch, drove home in relative silence. Rebecca said she needed to run some errands, would be back in a few hours. I said fine, I had some work to catch up on anyway. I watched her drive away, then went inside and pulled out my laptop. If I wasn't going to confront her yet, I needed more information, needed to know who I was dealing with, what I was up against. I started with Facebook, searched for the dental office where Rebecca worked, found their business page, scrolled through staff photos until I found him. Andrew Davidson, dental assistant, been with Dr. Patterson's practice for 3 years. His profile was mostly private, but I could see his basic info. 38. Divorced. 1 kid. A son around Emma's age. Divorced, of course. I clicked through what photos were public. Nothing obvious, nothing incriminating. Just a guy living his life. A guy who happened to be sleeping with my wife. I was still sitting there staring at his profile picture when Emma came home. Hey, she said, dropping her backpack by the door. Mom still out? Yeah, errands. Emma nodded, headed toward the stairs, then paused, turned back. Can I ask you something? Of course. She chewed her bottom lip the way she did when she was nervous. Are you and Mum okay? The question hit harder than I expected. Why do you ask? I don't know. You guys seem different lately, like you're not really talking to each other. Smart kid. Too smart sometimes. We're fine, I lied, just busy. Work stress. You know how it is. She didn't look convinced. Okay, but if something was wrong, you'd tell me, right? Emma. Because I'm not a kid anymore. I can handle stuff. I looked at my stepdaughter, this girl I'd helped raise who'd gone from calling me Marcus to occasionally slipping and calling me Dad when she was really excited or upset, and felt my heart break a little more. If there's something you need to know, I said carefully, I promise I'll tell you. But right now, everything's okay. I promise. Another lie. I was getting good at those. She studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, I'm gonna go do homework. Try. After she went upstairs, I sat in the silence of my living room and tried to figure out what came next. I had proof of the affair, at least proof of inappropriate messages. But messages weren't the same as actual evidence of infidelity. Maybe they really were just friends. Maybe I was reading too much into flirty texts. Except I wasn't. I knew I wasn't. My phone rang. Jason, calling this time instead of texting. I stared at the screen, let it ring twice more, then answered. Hey man, Jason said. Got your text silence. Everything okay? Yeah, sorry, been busy. Too busy for Poker Tuesday. I hesitated. Actually, can I ask you something? Hypothetically? Hypothetically, Jason's tone shifted, became more serious. Shoot. If someone needed to check up on someone, see where they'd been, who they'd been talking to, what would that take? Silence on the other end. Then, Marcus, man, what's going on? Nothing, just curious. Bullshit. You're asking about surveillance. Personal surveillance, which means you're asking about Rebecca. I didn't answer. Shit, Jason said softly. Okay, here's the thing. What you're asking about. It's technically legal if it's your spouse and you're on a shared plan, but it's also the kind of thing you can't come back from. Once you go down that road, once you start tracking and monitoring, the relationship is basically over, even if you find nothing. And if I find something, then at least you'll know. Look, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but if you're serious about this, we should talk in person, not over the phone. And you should think really hard about whether you're ready for whatever you might find out. Tuesday, I said. Poker night. I'll be there. Okay. And Marcus? I'm sorry, man. Whatever's going on, I'm sorry. After we hung up, I sat there wondering if I was making a mistake, wondering if I should just confront Rebecca directly, trust her to tell me the truth. But she'd been lying for weeks. Why would she tell the truth now? Rebecca came home around 5 with grocery bags, cheerful and chatty. She made dinner, chicken stir-fry, one of my favorites, and we ate as a family, Emma telling us about her bio study group, Rebecca talking about Carol's upcoming wedding, me nodding and making appropriate sounds while my mind spun in circles. After dinner, Emma went upstairs. Rebecca started loading the dishwasher. I'm glad we did brunch today, she said. We should make it a regular thing. Sure. She looked at me over her shoulder. You okay? You've been quiet all day. Just tired. You've been tired a lot lately. Work's been busy. Maybe you should take some time off, relax a little. She closed the dishwasher, came over, wrapped her arms around my waist from behind. You work too hard, you know that? I felt her pressed against my back and tried to remember what this used to feel like, tried to remember when her touch didn't feel like a betrayal. Maybe, I said. She kissed my shoulder. I'm going to take a bath. Watch a movie with me after. Yeah, okay. She headed upstairs and I heard the bathroom door close, heard water running. I stood in my kitchen surrounded by the life we'd built together and wondered how much of it was real. Her phone was on the counter, charging again. I looked at it for a long moment. Then I picked it up. The password still worked. The messages were still there, in the contact saved as Diane M. New messages from today while she'd been out running errands. Missing you already. When can I see you next? Tomorrow night? I'll tell him I have a work thing. Perfect. My place? Yes, God, I can't wait. I set the phone down carefully, my hands surprisingly steady. Tomorrow night. She was planning to see him tomorrow night. Which meant I had less than 24 hours to decide what to do. I could confront her now, tell her I knew, demand explanations. I could let her go tomorrow, follow her, get concrete proof. I could call Jason, have him dig deeper, find out exactly how long this had been going on. Or I could do nothing, let it continue, pretend I didn't know, stay in this horrible limbo where at least I still had my family, even if it was built on lies. Upstairs, the bathwater stopped running. I heard Rebecca's voice muffled through the ceiling talking to someone on her cell. Probably him. I grabbed my keys and walked out the front door. Part 2. I drove with no destination in mind, just drove, letting muscle memory take me through familiar streets while my brain tried to process everything. 20 minutes later, I found myself in the parking lot of a 24-hour diner on Colorado Boulevard, the kind of place that served mediocre coffee and decent pie at all hours. I went inside, took a booth in the corner, ordered coffee I didn't want. My phone buzzed. Rebecca, where'd you go? I stared at the message for a full minute before responding. Needed some air. Be back soon. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, okay, I'll wait up. I set the phone face down on the table and tried to think clearly. Tomorrow night she was planning to see him, which meant I had a choice to make. I could confront her before she left, blow up everything based on text messages and suspicion, or I could let her go, follow her, get irrefutable proof. The thing was, I didn't want proof. What I wanted was to go back 3 weeks and pay more attention. What I wanted was to figure out where I'd gone wrong, what I'd failed to provide that she'd gone looking for elsewhere. What I wanted was for none of this to be happening. Rough night? The waitress, an older woman with kind eyes and a name tag that read Dolores, refilled my untouched coffee. Something like that. Wife trouble. I looked up, surprised. She smiled sadly. 30 years married, I've seen that look before, on my husband's face, on my own face, in the mirror more times than I can count. That look that says you're trying to figure out if you're fighting for something worth saving or just delaying the inevitable. How do you know which it is? Honey, if you're sitting in a diner at 7 on a Sunday night instead of home with her, you probably already know the answer. You're just not ready to accept it yet. She walked away before I could respond, leaving me with lukewarm coffee and a truth I didn't want to acknowledge. My phone rang. Emma. Hey, sweetie, what's up? Where are you? She sounded worried. Just out, getting some air. Everything okay? Mum's being weird. She keeps asking where you went and checking her phone, and she seems really anxious. Guilty conscience, I thought. I'll be home soon, okay? Everything's fine. Marcus, she paused. Something's wrong. I'm not stupid. You guys are fighting about something. We're not fighting. Then what's happening? I closed my eyes. I can't talk about this right now, but I promise whatever happens, you're going to be okay. Both of us, me and your mum. We both love you. That doesn't change, okay? Silence on the other end. Then quietly. You're scaring me. Don't be scared, just trust me. Can you do that? Okay. After we hung up, I sat there for another half hour watching families come and go, couples sharing desserts, teenagers laughing too loud in the corner booth, normal people living normal lives, unburdened by the knowledge that the person they loved most was capable of sustaining a lie for weeks on end. I paid for coffee I hadn't drunk and drove home. Rebecca was in the living room, curled up on the couch with a book she wasn't reading. She looked up when I came in, relief flooding her face. Hey, you okay? Yeah, sorry, just needed to clear my head. About work? About everything. She set the book aside. Marcus, you're worrying me. What's going on? This was the moment. I could tell her right now. I saw your messages. I know about him. I know you've been lying to me. Instead, I said, just stressed. The San Diego project is bigger than I thought. I might need to be on site more over the next few weeks. Her face did something complicated. Relief? Guilt? Oh, okay, when do you leave? Probably Wednesday. I'll know more tomorrow. How long will you be gone? A week, maybe 2. She nodded, and I could see her mind working. A week or 2 with me gone. A week or 2 to see him without having to sneak around as much. Well, she said carefully, I'll miss you, but I understand. Work is work. I sat down beside her on the couch, close but not touching. Can I ask you something? Of course. Are you happy? The question clearly caught her off guard. What? Yes, of course I'm happy. Why would you ask that? Because you seem distant lately, like your mind is somewhere else. I'm just tired. Work's been crazy, you know that. And with Emma getting older, there's all this new teenager drama to navigate. She reached for my hand. But I'm happy. With you. With our life. Why? Are you not happy? It was such a perfect redirect. Such a skilled deflection. I don't know, I said honestly. I feel like we're just going through the motions lately, like we're roommates more than partners. Her face softened. I'm sorry, you're right. I've been distracted. But it's not about us, it's just everything else. Maybe we should plan something. A trip, just the two of us. Get away for a long weekend. A trip together, while she was messaging another man about missing him and counting down until she could see him again. Maybe, I said. She leaned her head on my shoulder and I let her, because what else was I supposed to do? We sat there in silence, the TV playing something neither of us watched, pretending everything was normal. Around 10, we went to bed. She curled up next to me, her breathing evening out quickly. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, running through scenarios. Tomorrow she'd tell me she had a work thing. She'd get dressed, maybe that new perfume I'd noticed. She'd kiss me goodbye and drive to his place. They'd have dinner, probably wine. Then... I couldn't think about the then. Instead, I thought about Tuesday. Jason. Getting the information I needed to know exactly what I was dealing with. Because text messages could be explained away, rationalized, but GPS data, phone records, that was harder to dispute. I must have dozed off eventually because I woke to my alarm at 6. Rebecca was already up, downstairs making coffee. I showered, dressed, went through my normal Monday morning routine, while my brain screamed that nothing was normal. Big day, Rebecca asked, handing me a travel mug. Site meeting at 9, then paperwork most of the afternoon. You? Normal day. Mrs. Chen at 8, the Williams family at 10. Bunch of cleanings after that. She paused. Actually, I might have a work dinner tonight. Carol's bachelorette party planning committee. We're finalizing details for next weekend. There it was. The lie delivered smoothly like she'd practiced it. What time will you be back? Not sure. Probably around 9. I'll text you. Okay. She kissed me goodbye and I let her, tasting coffee and toothpaste and betrayal. At work, I couldn't focus. Sat through a meeting about electrical load calculations and absorbed approximately none of it. My project manager, Dave, asked if I was feeling okay. I said I might be coming down with something. He told me to go home early if I needed to. I didn't go home. Instead, at lunch, I drove to the dental office where Rebecca worked. I'm not sure what I thought I'd accomplish. Confront Davidson? Demand he stay away from my wife? It was stupid, impulsive, but I had to see him. Had to see the man who was destroying my marriage. The office was in a small professional building off Lake Avenue. I parked across the street feeling like a stalker, like exactly the kind of person I'd never thought I'd become. Through the front window I could see the reception desk, a waiting area with the usual chairs and outdated magazines. And then I saw him. Andrew Davidson, taller than I'd expected from his photos, wearing scrubs, laughing at something with Rebecca. They were standing close, too close, and even from across the street I could see the familiarity between them, the way she touched his arm, the way he leaned in when he talked to her. I sat there for 20 minutes watching them work, watching Rebecca help patients chat with coworkers, act like a completely normal person doing her normal job, like she wasn't planning to meet her lover in a few hours, like she hadn't been systematically lying to her husband for weeks. My phone rang, Emma calling between classes. Hey, sweetie. Hi, weird question. Are you and Mom getting divorced? My stomach dropped. What? No. Why would you ask that? Because Jessica's parents just split up and she said right before they told her they were acting exactly like you and Mom are acting. All fake, nice and weird. Emma, I promise nobody's getting divorced. Your Mom and I are fine. You're lying, her voice cracked. I'm not stupid, Marcus. Something's wrong. Just tell me what it is. Across the street, Rebecca emerged from the office with Davidson. They stood on the sidewalk, talking. And then he hugged her. A long hug, his hand on the small of her back, her arms around his neck. Marcus? Emma's voice in my ear. Are you there? I'm here. Look, I can't talk about this right now, but I promise you, whatever happens, it's not your fault, and both of us love you. Okay? That's what you said yesterday. That's exactly what parents say before they split up. I have to go to class. She hung up before I could respond. I watched Rebecca and Davidson separate, watched her walk back into the office, watched him get into his silver Honda Accord, the same car Emma had recognized at the park. Then I drove back to work and tried to pretend I could function normally. The rest of the afternoon crawled by. At 5, I got a text from Rebecca. Leaving soon for the dinner thing. Leftover lasagna in the fridge for you and Em. Love you. Love you. 2 words that used to mean everything and now felt like another lie. I drove home. Found Emma in the living room doing homework with her headphones on. She barely acknowledged me when I came in. Want some dinner? I asked. She shrugged. I heated up the lasagna Rebecca had made yesterday, probably feeling guilty, probably trying to be the perfect wife to assuage her conscience, and we ate in near silence. Your mum has a work dinner tonight, I said, trying to sound normal. Yeah, she texted me. You upset about something? Emma looked at me and there was something hard in her expression, something older than 14. Are you going to tell me what's really going on, or are you going to keep lying to me? Emma. I'm not a kid. I know something's wrong. I've known for weeks. Mum's been different, distracted, going out all the time, and you've been sad. Don't think I haven't noticed. I set down my fork. What do you want me to say? The truth. The truth is complicated. I can handle complicated. I looked at my stepdaughter and saw the same determination I'd seen on the soccer field, the same refusal to back down. Your mum and I are going through some stuff, I said carefully. I don't know how it's going to shake out yet. But I promise you, no matter what happens, it's not because of you, and it's not going to change how either of us feels about you. Is she cheating on you? The question hung in the air between us like a grenade with the pin pulled. What makes you think that? I'm not blind, Marcus. The late nights, the new clothes, the way she's always on her phone, and Mr. Davidson, I've seen the way they look at each other. You've seen them together? Mum brought me to the office 2 weeks ago when I had a half day. They were in the break room and didn't know I was there. The way they were talking. She shook her head. It wasn't normal. It wasn't how coworkers talk. I felt something crack inside me. Emma had known, or at least suspected, and she'd been carrying that alone. I'm sorry, I said. I'm sorry you've had to worry about this. So it's true. I wanted to lie. Wanted to protect her from the ugly reality of adult relationships and betrayal. But she was right. She wasn't a kid anymore, and she deserved better than more lies. I don't know for sure, I said, but I think so. Yeah. Emma's eyes filled with tears. Why? Aren't you enough? Aren't we enough? Oh, Em. I moved around the table, pulled her into a hug. This isn't about you. And it's not really about me either. Sometimes people make choices that hurt the ones they love. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong. She cried against my shoulder and I held her, feeling like I'd failed her somehow, failed to protect her from this, failed to keep her family intact. What are you going to do? She asked when she pulled back, wiping her eyes. I don't know yet. I need to be sure first. Need to know exactly what I'm dealing with. And then? And then I'll figure it out. She nodded, exhausted. I'm going to my room. After she left, I sat alone in the kitchen, the lasagna congealing on our plates. It was 7:30. Rebecca was presumably at Davidson's place by now, having dinner, having wine, having whatever else they did together while I sat at home with her daughter, cleaning up the mess she'd left behind. I pulled out my phone, stared at Jason's contact information. Then I did something I immediately regretted. I opened the Find My Phone app, the family tracking app Rebecca and I had installed years ago for safety, for knowing where Emma was. The one we'd never used to spy on each other because we'd never needed to. Rebecca's phone showed her location, not at a restaurant, not at anyone's house that I recognized. She was at the Comfort Inn on South Lake Avenue. A hotel. My wife was at a hotel with another man. I stared at the little blue dot on my screen and felt the last shred of hope die. She wasn't meeting co-workers for dinner. She wasn't at a bachelorette party planning session. She was at a cheap hotel 20 minutes from our house, probably in bed with Andrew Davidson right now. I could drive there, confront them, make a scene. But what would that accomplish? I'd still be the betrayed husband. She'd still have made the choice to cheat. Nothing I did now would change what had already happened. Instead, I took a screenshot of her location. Evidence. Then I closed the app and called Jason. "I need your help," I said when he answered. "Tomorrow. Whatever you can dig up." "You're sure about this?" "I'm sure." "Okay, come by my place after work. Bring her phone if you can, or at least her number and the account info." After we hung up, I sat in the kitchen until Emma went to bed. Then I sat some more, watching the clock tick toward 9, toward the time Rebecca said she'd be home. At 8:47, her location started moving. By 9:03, I heard her car in the driveway. She came in looking slightly disheveled, her hair not quite as neat as when she'd left. She was smiling, that same distant smile I'd seen so many times recently. "Hey," she said, kicking off her shoes. "Sorry I'm a bit late. We got talking and lost track of time." I looked at her, really looked at her, and wondered if she'd always been this good at lying, or if it was a skill she'd developed recently. "How was it?" "Good. We got most of the bachelorette party planned. Carol's going to love it." She moved past me towards the kitchen. "Did you and Em eat?" "Yeah." "Good." She opened the fridge, pulled out a water bottle. "I'm exhausted. Think I'm going to head up." "Rebecca," she turned. "Yeah." "I almost did it. Almost said I know where you were. I know what you've been doing." Instead, nothing. "I'm going to stay up a bit. Watch some TV." She nodded, kissed my cheek. Her lips tasted like wine and guilt, and headed upstairs. I waited until I heard the shower running, then pulled out my phone and looked at the screenshots I'd taken. The Comfort Inn, 7:42 p.m. to 8:47 p.m. Over an hour at a cheap hotel with another man. I texted Jason. "Tomorrow can't come soon enough." He responded immediately. "I got you, brother." I slept on the couch that night, told Rebecca I'd fallen asleep watching a documentary. She seemed relieved not to have me in bed next to her. Tuesday morning arrived with the weight of dread. I went to work, moved through meetings like a zombie, counted down the hours until I could see Jason. Rebecca texted around noon. "Busy day, might be late again tonight. Dr. Patterson needs me to help with inventory." Another lie. I wondered if she was even trying to make them believable anymore, or if she just assumed I was too stupid or trusting to question her. I responded, "Okay." At 5, I left work and drove to Jason's apartment in Eagle Rock. He answered the door with a beer in hand and a sympathetic expression. "Come in. Let's get this over with." His apartment was what you'd expect from a single IT guy. Gaming setup in the living room, tech equipment everywhere, minimal furniture. He led me to his home office where multiple monitors displayed various screens of code and data. "Okay," he said, sitting down. "Before we start, I need to ask you one more time. Are you absolutely sure you want to do this? Because once I pull this information, once you see it, you can't unsee it." "I already can't unsee it. I just need proof." "All right. I need her phone number and whatever account access you have." I gave him everything. Phone number, email, the password to our shared Verizon account. Watched as he typed and clicked through various screens. "Okay," he said after a few minutes. "I've got her location history for the past month. You want to see it?" "Yes." He pulled up a map, little red dots showing everywhere Rebecca's phone had been. Most were normal, home, work, grocery stores. But then there were the others. The Comfort Inn on South Lake, an apartment complex in South Pasadena, presumably Davidson's place. Multiple restaurants I'd never been to with her. "She's been to this hotel 4 times in the past 3 weeks, Jason said quietly. The apartment complex 6 times. Always during hours when she told you she was working late or out with Diane. Can you tell if she was with someone? Not definitively, but..." He pulled up another screen. Davidson's phone. I can't access his data directly, but I can see when his phone was in the same location as hers. And yeah, every time she was at that hotel or his apartment, his phone was there too. I stared at the data, feeling sick. There's more, Jason said. Text messages. They're backed up to the Verizon cloud. You want to see them? How far back do they go? 5 months. 5 months! She'd been doing this for 5 months. Show me. He pulled up the messages. Weeks and weeks of conversations between Rebecca and Davidson. It started innocently enough. Work stuff, friendly chatter. But by month 2 it had shifted. Flirting. Then more explicit messages, plans to meet, expressions of guilt mixed with desire. And then, about 3 months ago, a message from Rebecca that read, I can't keep doing this to him, but I can't stop. I don't know what's wrong with me. Davidson's response, nothing's wrong with you. You're just not happy. That's not a crime. This is really comprehensive evidence, Jason said. More than enough if you're thinking about divorce. Divorce. The word landed like a punch. Can you print all of this? The location data, the messages, everything? Yeah, give me 20 minutes. While Jason compiled the evidence, I sat on his couch and tried to process what I'd learned. 5 months of lying. 5 months of betrayal. 5 months of choosing Davidson over me, over our marriage, over Emma. And still coming home to our bed every night. Still kissing me goodbye every morning. Still playing the role of loving wife. Here you go, Jason said, handing me a thick folder. Everything's in there, organized by date. I also put it all on a flash drive as backup. Thanks. What do I owe you? Nothing, man. Just, I'm sorry. I really hoped I'd be wrong. I drove home with the folder on the passenger seat, feeling like I was carrying a bomb. The evidence of my wife's affair, documented and undeniable. Rebecca's car was in the driveway when I got home. I sat in my car for a long moment, staring at the folder, trying to decide if tonight was the night. Emma met me at the door. Marcus, we need to talk. What's wrong? She pulled me into the kitchen, away from where Rebecca was watching TV in the living room. I heard Mom on the phone today. She didn't know I was home. I left school early because I wasn't feeling well. She was in the garage talking to someone. What did she say? She said... Emma's voice dropped to a whisper. She said she was going to tell you soon. About leaving. That she just needed to figure out the right time. The words hit me like cold water. She was planning to leave, not just having an affair, planning to end our marriage. Are you sure that's what you heard? I'm sure, and Marcus, I'm so sorry. I should have told you sooner about Mr. Davidson. I should have... Hey, no. None of this is your fault. You understand me? None of it. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I don't want you to leave. I don't want our family to break up. I pulled her into a hug. I'm not going anywhere. No matter what happens with your mum and me, I'm not abandoning you. I promise. But if she leaves you, if you guys get divorced, she'll have custody, and I'll have to... We'll figure it out. One step at a time. Rebecca appeared in the doorway. Emma, you okay, sweetie? Emma pulled away from me, wiped her eyes. I'm fine, just tired. Going to bed. She hurried past her mother and up the stairs. Rebecca watched her go, then turned to me. What was that about? She's having a rough day. Did something happen at school? Just teenager stuff. You know how it is. Rebecca frowned, clearly wanting to press, but let it go. Well, I made chicken for dinner. You hungry? Not really. Long day. You've been having a lot of long days lately. So have you. The words came out sharper than I intended. Rebecca's eyes narrowed slightly. What's that supposed to mean? This was it. The moment. I could keep pretending, keep giving her rope to hang herself with, or I could end it now. I walked to my car, got the folder Jason had prepared, came back inside. We need to talk, I said. Something in my tone must have warned her. Her face paled slightly. About what? I set the folder on the kitchen counter. About where you really were last night. About Andrew Davidson. About the Comfort Inn on South Lake Avenue. The colour drained completely from her face. Marcus? 5 months, Rebecca. You've been sleeping with him for 5 months, and before you try to deny it, everything's in here. Text messages, location data, hotel records, everything. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. How did you... Does it matter? You've been lying to me for 5 months, lying to Emma, coming home every night and getting into bed with me after spending hours with him. How could you do that? I never meant... It just happened. We were working together, and we connected. And you connected, I laughed, a harsh sound. That's what we're calling it, you connected. I'm sorry. God, Marcus, I'm so sorry. But things between us haven't been right for a while. You know that. We've just been going through the motions. So instead of talking to me about it, instead of going to counselling or trying to fix things, you decided to fuck someone else. She flinched at the language. Don't be crude. Crude? You're worried about me being crude. You've been cheating on me for 5 months and you're worried about language? I was going to tell you. I swear I was. I just needed time to figure out how. Emma heard you on the phone today talking about leaving me. Is that your plan? Leave me for Davidson? Rebecca's eyes widened. She heard that? That's what you're worried about. Not that you're destroying your daughter's life. Not that you're throwing away our marriage. You're worried that she overheard you. I never wanted to hurt anyone. I never wanted this to happen. But it did happen. You made it happen. You made choices repeatedly for 5 months to betray me. To betray us. She was crying now, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no desire to comfort her. Just a cold, hollow anger. What do you want me to say? She asked. I made a mistake. I'm sorry, I'll end it. We can go to counselling. We can work through this. You think I want to work through this? You think I want to spend the next year in therapy, wondering every time you're 10 minutes late if you're with him again? Wondering if you're staying because you want to, or because you feel guilty? I do want to stay. I love you. You don't love me. You love the life we have. You love the security and the house and playing happy family, but you don't love me. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. She reached for me, but I stepped back. Marcus, please. I want you to leave. What? I want you out of this house, tonight. You can't kick me out. This is my house too, I have rights. Then I'll leave. I don't care, but I'm not sleeping under the same roof as you tonight. What about Emma? What about her? You should have thought about Emma before you started sneaking around with Davidson. You should have thought about her before you decided to blow up her life. I'm her mother. And I'm the one who's been here, really here, not distracted by an affair, not planning to abandon her family. Me. Rebecca's face crumpled. I never meant to abandon anyone. I wasn't happy. I felt stuck. Like my life was just work and home and the same routine over and over. Andrew made me feel alive again. So this is my fault? I made you feel stuck so you had to cheat? No, God no, I'm not blaming you. I'm just trying to explain. I don't want your explanations. I want you to leave. We stood in the kitchen, the remains of our marriage scattered between us like broken glass. Upstairs, I could hear Emma moving around in her room, probably listening to every word. Fine, Rebecca said finally. I'll stay with my sister tonight, but Marcus, we need to talk about this, really talk, when we've both calmed down. There's nothing to talk about. There's everything to talk about. We have a child. You have a child. I have a stepdaughter I love who's about to have her life turned upside down because her mother couldn't keep her legs closed. The slap came out of nowhere. My cheek stung, but I didn't react. Don't you dare, Rebecca hissed. Don't you dare talk to me like that. Or what, you'll cheat on me? Oh wait, you already did that. She grabbed her purse, her keys. I'll come by tomorrow to get some clothes. We can talk then. Through lawyers. Marker, I'm done, Rebecca. We're done. She stood there for another moment, maybe hoping I'd take it back, maybe hoping for some sign that this was salvageable. When I said nothing, she left. I stood in the kitchen listening to her car start, listening to her drive away. Then I heard footsteps on the stairs. Emma appeared, her face blotchy from crying. Is she gone? Yeah. Good. She came over and hugged me, and we stood there in the wreckage of our family, holding on to each other like survivors of a shipwreck. What happens now? She asked. Now we figure out how to move forward. Together? Together. She pulled back, looked up at me. Can I tell you something? Anything. I'm glad it's you, that you're the one staying. I know she's my mum, and I love her, but you're the one who's been there, really there. And if I have to choose, you don't have to choose, not yet. Let's just take this one day at a time, okay? She nodded, exhausted. Go to bed, I said. We'll deal with everything else tomorrow. After she went upstairs, I sat at the kitchen table with Jason's folder open in front of me, looking at the evidence of my wife's betrayal. 5 months of lies documented in texts and timestamps and hotel receipts. My phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca. I'm sorry for everything. I do love you. I hope someday you can forgive me. I deleted it without responding. Then I called a lawyer. Because Jason had been right about one thing. Once you go down this road, there's no coming back. The relationship was over the moment she made her choice. I'd just been the last to know. Tomorrow would bring lawyers and difficult conversations and the process of untangling a life we'd built together. Tomorrow would bring Emma's tears and Rebecca's attempts at reconciliation and the slow, painful work of rebuilding from rubble. But tonight, I sat in my kitchen and mourned, not just for my marriage, but for the man I'd been 3 weeks ago, the man who trusted his wife, who believed in happy endings, who thought love was enough. That man was gone now, replaced by someone harder. Someone who'd learned that the people you love most can hurt you deepest. Someone who'd have to figure out how to protect what was left without becoming bitter. Outside, the night was quiet. Inside, my house, our house, felt like a tomb. I thought about pouring a drink, but decided against it. I needed to be clear-headed for whatever came next. My phone rang. Jason. I heard her car leave. You okay? No, but I will be. You need anything? Want me to come over? No, thanks though, for everything. That's what friends are for. Call me if you need me. Anytime. After we hung up, I sat in the silence and tried to imagine what my life would look like now. Single again at 42, navigating divorce, custody arrangements, splitting assets, starting over. But not alone. Emma was upstairs and she'd made her choice. She'd chosen me. That had to count for something. I turned off the lights and headed upstairs past Emma's room where I could hear her crying softly to the guest bedroom, because I couldn't sleep in the bed I'd shared with Rebecca. Not tonight. Maybe not ever again. Tomorrow would be hard. Next week would be harder. The months to come would be a nightmare of legal proceedings and emotional fallout. But I'd survive it. We'd survive it. Because that's what you do when someone you love tears your life apart. You pick up the pieces and build something new, something stronger, something that can't be destroyed by lies. I lay in the guest bed staring at the ceiling and made myself a promise. I would get through this. I would be there for Emma. I would not let Rebecca's betrayal turn me into someone bitter and broken. And someday, maybe not soon, but someday, I'd be okay again. It wasn't much of a plan, but it was enough to get me through the night. The mediation room smelled like stale coffee and desperation. I sat across from Rebecca and her lawyer, Emma, between us, old enough now to have a say in custody arrangements, mature enough to have earned that right through everything she'd endured. Emma's made her preference clear, my lawyer, Patricia, said, sliding papers across the table. She wants primary residence with Marcus, with standard visitation for Rebecca. Rebecca's face crumbled. Emma, please. I'm still your mother. I know, Emma said quietly. She'd grown up so much in 6 months, cut her hair shorter, started getting better grades, joined the debate team. And I still love you, but I need stability right now. Marcus gives me that. I can give you stability too. I've ended things with Andrew. I'm in therapy. I'm trying. You're trying now. Where were you 6 months ago? Where were you when I needed you to just be honest? Emma's voice was steady, but I could hear the hurt underneath. I'm not punishing you, Mom. I'm just choosing what's best for me. The mediation ended with Rebecca agreeing to every other weekend custody and Wednesday dinners, joint decision-making on major issues, a fair division of assets, everything civil and legal and heartbreaking. In the parking lot afterward, Rebecca caught my arm. Can we talk? Just for a minute. I looked at Emma, who nodded and went to wait in my car. I really am sorry, Rebecca said. I know I've said it 1,000 times, but I need you to know I mean it. I destroyed the best thing in my life because I was selfish and scared and stupid. I believe you're sorry, but it doesn't change anything. I know She wiped her eyes. Take care of her. I know you will, but I need to say it anyway. Take care of my daughter. She's my daughter too, in every way that matters. Rebecca nodded, something like acceptance finally settling into her expression. You're right. You're a better parent than I deserve to have for her. She walked to her car, and I watched her go, feeling nothing but a distant sadness. Not for our marriage, that grief had passed months ago, but for who we'd been, once, before the lies. Emma was quiet on the drive home, processing everything. We'd moved to a smaller house in Altadena, just the two of us, started building new routines. Sunday pancakes remained terrible, but we'd added Thursday pizza nights and Saturday morning hikes. You okay? I asked as we pulled into the driveway. Yeah, I think so. She looked at me. Thank you. For fighting for me. For not giving up. I could never give up on you, Em. You know that. Inside, she disappeared to her room to call her friends. I made dinner. Spaghetti, one of the 5 things I could cook competently, and thought about how strange it was that the worst thing that had ever happened to me had somehow led to this, to a deeper relationship with Emma, to understanding what really mattered. My phone buzzed. A text from Jason. Poker tonight, you coming? I hadn't been to poker night since everything imploded, hadn't felt much like socializing, but maybe it was time. Yeah, I typed back. I'll be there. Later, after Emma was asleep, I stood in my new kitchen in my new house and realized something. I was okay. Not healed completely. There were still hard days, still moments when the betrayal stung, but I was okay. I'd survived the worst thing I could imagine, and I was still standing, still fighting for what mattered, still capable of building something good from the ruins. Tomorrow, Emma had a debate competition. Next week, I had a consultation with a family therapist to help us navigate the ongoing challenges. Next month, Rebecca would take Emma for her first overnight visit. Life went on, messy and complicated and nothing like I'd planned. But it went on. And that was enough. I poured myself a glass of water, turned off the lights, and went upstairs. Past Emma's room where I could hear her laughing on the phone with friends, to my own room where I'd finally stopped seeing ghosts of my failed marriage. The future was uncertain, but it was mine to build, ours to build. And somehow that made everything bearable. I set my alarm for 6. Emma's debate competition started early and closed my eyes. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but it would also bring new possibilities. And after everything, that was more than enough reason to keep going.